Hi, I'm Kevin Drinkall.
Hi, and I'm Michel Nicolai, and we welcome you to Sizol Networks podcast.
We've been in the network industry for over 15 years, and in these podcasts we want to try and untangle the world of networking, debunk some of those myths, explain some real-world examples along the way, to help you make better choices about selecting the right tech, product, and even help you guys build faster, more reliable, scalable networks, or just to keep your kids happy at home. Well, welcome back from the podcast, and in today's podcast we have a special guest.
Yeah, normally we talk about our Sizol products and invite people from our company, but today we invited one of our resellers out of the Netherlands.
So welcome, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
So Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, I'm Mark Steeman. I'm the founder of Briqt IT. As it already says, it's in name. We're specialized in apartment complexes and multi-tenancy buildings, and doing it for about 15 years. And always, technology fascinated me.
Can you tell us something how you started to adopt Sizol into your business?
Well, it started 2016 when Nebula was introduced. And we always had a cloud focus. And when that platform became available, we were like, okay, well, we would like to try it and test it. Platform grew exponentially. It's not even able to compare it with 2016. It grew a lot, MSP pack. So what always was the most important part was flexibility. Not having to drive to a customer to make a change, or when something goes down, you get an alert. That's really important to be flexible and serve our customers.
Yeah, you're really active with your customers, but the benefit you're mentioning is that you don't need a lot of staff to really be really proactive to your customer. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're getting more efficient each day.
Yeah.
And we grew with a lot of customers in the past 5 to 10 years. And well, basically, it partially especially came because of Sizol and the platform you're serving or offering us.
And you're using all of our products, the firewalls, the switches, the Wi-Fi, everything, or just a few of them?
No, all of them. And with the LTE, of course, as well, and the accessory, which came available like a few months ago, it added another market. Especially with buildings we serve all around the Netherlands. And it became more and more important to have all the equipment from the same vendor.
So when you're in deploying your typical customer base, what does that look like? I mean, it's not a normal small office, right? You are deploying to a building, and then so tell us a little bit about how you're utilizing Nebula and the product together in your deployment cycle. So what are the benefits of Nebula for you when you go to deploy?
Well, it starts by designing the network. Most investors or company owners want a flexible solution. They always got a problem like, problem A, and it needs to be fixed by solution B. And with Sizol, we can give a demo on cloud-based. We got our own test environment, and we show them how the product works directly with the first conversation already.
I mean, we have so many features in the platform and so many different ways of deploying. What things do you take away from that really make it worthwhile for you?
Yeah, what makes the difference?
Yeah.
Well, you got all the different components in the one platform. But for example, for seeing if the connection is active, we primarily focus on the firewall since it's the start of the network.
Yeah.
And we got it on a big screen in our office. And we continuously monitor all the sites and companies and organizations. If you see it's online, we're have to take action or not.
So you're using it as an active monitoring in your office as well, right?
That's correct.
So so you have a team of people looking at it. Why was it became your go-to tool? What was like what things do you think make a difference on day-to-day operations?
Well, it was one of the first full cloud solutions, and more components became available in the cloud. And why does it make the difference? Well, it's easy to use, easy to configure. Entry engineers can right away start with it. And there's a certain logic, especially with its differentiation between the components, makes it more accessible.
And you're also using the Nebula, let's say, to pre-config without really connecting it, like that you can virtual program your setup and then bring it to the customer and do auto deployment, or you just configure as it is.
Yeah, we recreate the situation on our office before we are heading to the customer.
And then you replicate it to the customer.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Only some small changes will be made on site, and testing will be on site as well.
So tell us a little bit about multi-tenant office buildings and these apartment complexes. Tell us a little bit about the multi-tenant office. How do you deploy that? Do you do shared Wi-Fi, or or do you install it per business, or how are you doing that as a company? And how is Nebula enabling you to do that? Do you creating templates or?
Yeah, that's correct. We're using templates, and it really depends on the requirements of the end customer. It could be an investor which wants to house certain companies within, and mostly we offer free Wi-Fi as a basic solution for hosts, visitors, so they have a Wi-Fi connection when they just come in. But as well, the companies which house in their multi-tenant building, they want a direct connection. It needs to be secure, transparent, and needs to be fast and available.
Yeah, so what you do, you consolidate all the different offices that they share the same internet connection, but you take care of their security to make sure that every office or every company is, let's say, separated from each other, so that the security is in place for everyone.
Yeah, that's correct.
And how about the flexibility, what you offer? Is it everything that you deploy at the customer side, or you bring just the internet connection and they do their own automation?
Yeah, that's where Zyzel comes in. It's flexible. So a multi-tenant building is changing continuously depending on the requirements of the company which you want to house in. And sometimes it's only the internet connection. It's a transparent connection. It's fast. It's divided from the rest. It's secure. And sometimes it's delivering the whole network. So it starts with the firewall, the switching, and the Wi-Fi part.
For the firewalling, you use our USG Flex series. Is there some recommendation that you say, okay, for these kinds of scenarios, I always go for this model because of this and this? Is there some recommendation that you always use? Or
Performance is one of the most important things right now, and that's high speeds. And especially with the USG Flex 8 series, we can reach the higher speeds, connections from 1 gig to 4 gig to 8 gig even.
How does that differ from when you're doing apartment complexes? And I know you do a little bit of healthcare as well, right? I remember in the past we did a few projects where you needed to do a little bit of the IoT device elements and stuff like that. And how do you manage that in your day-to-day operations?
Well, it's two complete different categories. Housing companies in a multi-tenant building is different, since they probably mostly have their own IT company. They have their own requirements, and they do not want another party to get involved with their day-to-day business.
Yeah.
And with apartment complexes, it's a different story, especially in healthcare. They want their television, telephone, and internet connection, and they want it completely separated from their healthcare communications. And that's why we come in, and we get it secure, and we get it fully divided from the rest.
Yeah, so you have a triple play scenario. So all the different services you do on a separate network, especially on the healthcare, because they don't want to mix with their own network.
Especially.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's pretty diverse deliveries. Do you have some kind of mechanism for selecting the product, or do you have like for a small, medium, large business, I use these pieces of equipment, or do you just you customize it per customer? Or when you do these multi-tenancy buildings, you must have a kind of standardization approach, right? So how do you teach your team to manage that or deliver that? Is there a standard, you built your own standard process, or?
Yeah, when the entry-level engineer join our company, we got a certain process to guide them and get their certifications. That's one of the most important parts. And we start with, for example, for networking, with the Nebula certifications to get their basics right.
What attracted you to Zyzel as a brand in the first? What are the key things that you would say to anybody else who's thinking about using Zyzel? Whether it be Nebula or whether it be just as a company, what things would you take away from that for yourself?
Well, it's the cooperation. That's the most important part, since most companies are, specialization more and more.
Yeah.
And what's the most important part is especially the communication. So we can call someone, which is actually rather unique these days. And there's a lot of information on the forums. There's a lot of information online. But the components, you can just scan a QR code. It's simple. It's easy to use. And yeah, there are also other vendors which offer us an equal solution, but it's not that accessible as comparison with Sizell. It's mostly the convenience for using it. It's available. It's working as it should.
How a big a difference do you think Sizell makes to your business? I mean, if you, like, when you're doing your day-to-day business, you know, what would it be like if you didn't have Sizell? What would you be, you know, if you were picking another brand, etc.? What, you know, how does Sizell impact, you know, or what have they done for you as a company?
Well, as a business owner, the most important part is that the end customer is satisfied with their solution. And I can leave the office happy and relieved that it is working and it is being monitored. And that is what made us grow the last of the past years. And actually, I can say I can go home and not think about the networks. So I can do something else, which gives me free time.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that you were off for a couple of weeks and you were very confident that you could do everything remotely and leave it to everyone to keep things going, isn't it?
Absolutely. I went away for 8 weeks and I haven't thought, well, just maybe a bit, about what was going on in the networks of our end customers. It just ran.
You knew that you could touch everything remotely if necessary. It is, isn't
That's
it?
correct. Yeah, absolutely. That's
So also you mentioned, I mean, obviously before we started our podcast, you mentioned briefly about working with other Wi-Fi network companies and collaboration with other IT partners. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, as I said before, specialization is a key part of many IT resellers or IT companies. And one of our primary specializations is Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is a complex solution. Well, it can be complex, especially in bigger buildings and a lot of interference. And we got lots of equipment to figure out what's the interference factor or what's the signal coverage.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to work or get requests to work with other IT resellers, which do not have the capacity or
they don't feel the confident of touching the Wi-Fi. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you did. I know that you do some good projects with one of our bigger resellers here in the Netherlands as well. That they don't want to touch the Wi-Fi because they don't have the experience, and we connected you to them.
Yeah, and with the collaboration, we get stronger together, and that's one of the key points. Absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, you're really interested in technology as well, right? You mentioned that at the beginning. I mean, this is where we all engineers, right? So it's, you know, really excited to work with customers like yourself. But what sort of technologies for yourself you really, you know, I really want to look at that, or I really want to use that, or what technologies are you looking forward to? And also, what key features within our Nebula platform do you think this is a really cool tool to use, and this is one that's really benefited me a lot?
Well, we touched Wi-Fi before, and Wi-Fi 8 is one of the common new features which is coming. And then I'm really looking forward, for example, MAPC, so multi-AP coordination. It kind of eliminates roaming, and I'm actually looking forward to more stability on Wi-Fi. Makes our work easier.
So you're looking forward to Wi-Fi 8?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's really great.
And today you actually were deploying Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah.
And how do you feel your migration from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 7 has gone?
Really easy. No troubles at all. Only if you're using MLO, for example, the device needs to be ready as well. And there's more and more devices which are 7 capable, but not all.
Is that something that you need to clear for your customer, that Wi-Fi 7, what are the benefits, and if you can use the MLO, because you mentioned it, is that something that you discuss, or it just go with the flow? Or?
And customers want to be future-proof, and that's where Wi-Fi 7 comes in.
Yeah.
And MLO is a nice feature to have, but it's not mainly required. They do just want a stable connection. And that's the most important part.
You know, in previous podcasts, we mentioned about a lot of people did a lot of the upgrades to Wi-Fi 7, but didn't take the switching with that as well, right? And obviously that creates this bottleneck. And you mentioned about speed before from the USG-H series, right? These products are also leveraging multi-gig, not just, you know, like 4 gig you're using 4 gig, right,
Yeah,
for the
that's correct.
internet, but
Yeah.
but obviously 2.5 gig multi-gig connectivity to deliver it to the client, or even 5 gig to the client as well, right? So have you moved to multi-gig as well?
Yeah, slowly but steady. 1 gig is still the focus, but we're migrating to 2.5 gig. That will be the standard for the future and on. It will be more and more, since 2.5 gig is pretty much with all the cabling which is in place can be used. Only the distance needs to be measured correctly.
Yeah. And do you use any of the tools in Nebula to do that, or?
Okay, we're using the cabling check. That's probably one of the most important parts. That's one of the tools we're using to measure the distance. Yes, correct.
On your day-to-day operations, then, when you're looking at those customers and, when you see problem areas, you mentioned Wi-Fi aid, for example, right, where it can give you clear indication to find the problem very quick, right, about whether it's missing DHCP or DNS, right? Yeah. So do you use any of the other tools like Wi-Fi aid?
Wi-Fi Health.
Wi-Fi Health, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, Wi-Fi Health is a really incredible tool to see something which isn't there to see. For example, the DHCP issues you mentioned, and that makes our work a lot easier to proactively or fix that problem which happens in the network. It makes it visible.
Yeah, and it's very quick, right? So you manage to get to the problem quicker. So
saves a drive to the end customer.
Exactly, yeah.
Less driving, less traffic jams. Really great.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a small country, Netherlands, right? But it's sometimes very difficult to get around.
But still, driving 4 hours from Groningen to Maastricht. So it's a large area.
Yeah, it can still be a challenge, right? So
true.
Are you doing anything outside of Netherlands, or mainly just keep it inside?
Well, we're touching Belgium and Germany, primarily in the Netherlands. But as I said before, from Maastricht and Groningen, that's still a 4-hour drive.
Yeah. So it's still a big range, yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's correct.
You in starting the MSP license. Can you say something about this, how you're using it and how it helped you?
Well, in the IT sector currently, there's a lot of engineers moving from company to company. So I can mention every company has switched engineers or switched jobs, and we have that as well. And with the MSP pack, we can securely give engineers access to certain customers. And for example, single sign-on makes it even also reliable and less configurations necessary for onboarding new engineers.
So are you creating like standardized templates at the MSP level and then deploying them, or are you doing it at the organization level? And so are you creating some kind of like, this is my standard company deployment and my switch, my wireless looks like this. And then when you deploy it, then make the small tweaks. You mentioned briefly about that before, about making small tweaks when you get on site.
Yeah, well, we're using the templates since it saves time and efficiency is really a key factor, making ourselves more efficient. And with the templates, we can do that straight away from with the MSP pack. And what depends kind of on the situation. If it's as one of our concepts, for example, the multi-tenancy buildings or the apartment complexes, we copy that template. It saves a lot of time and a lot of configuration.
So you standardize the approach, so your engineers are
absolutely. Makes it more accessible for them as well.
Yeah. So experience as a business owner now, are you finding that engineers are harder to find nowadays than they used to be, right, when you first started?
It's really difficult. It changed after COVID a lot. And for some reason, there are less engineers available. And especially the entry engineers, there's a mismatch in what's required for the job and what's it's offered in the market.
And how's Nebula helped you tackle that problem then?
Well, we can train entry-level engineers, the junior, mid-year, senior levels from scratch. So it's more accessible with wizard-based deployments and configuration templates, which you mentioned before.
And is, let's say, Nebula also helping you to give those engineers in their education certain access level that you say, okay, to get familiar with the platform, providing, let's say, monitoring access first before they really touch the configuration. Is that something that you use in that process as well?
Absolutely. We give them read-only to start with. Otherwise, they're going to add organizations, add sites to end customers, which isn't really helpful. And it makes a lot of noise on the monitoring base.
How are you actually managing the security element then? Are you deploying the full UTM, or do you have a mix of some using the cybersecurity functionality and some just using VPN functionality? Or, are you just creating routing? Are you just using some of them for routing? Or is there some kind of standard practice that you...
Yeah, well, it's a standard practice. With multi-tenancy buildings, transparency is really important since they got their mostly their own IT companies. But we do offer the IP reputation filter. That's a basic service we want to offer. Even although they have their own IT companies, a little bit of help is always welcome. And we mention that when we onboard them.
On these units, are you separating by VLANs and then creating the route, or are you creating a one-to-one NATs and giving them IP blocks? Or
you were routing with the dynamic routes the IPs, and we're securing them with a combination with MAC addresses. For example, the IP security guard. On access switches, we're combining their MAC address from their router to an external IP address to make it secure, and only that router may connect to the internet.
So it's a little bit like the active fiber delivery, but they're moving it inside, right?
True. Yeah.
And to make sure that that router stays and that they're not replacing things or anything.
Are you using like Secure Reporter and some of the audit logs to track, or have you got any compliance that you need to abide by that Nebula helps you complete?
For example, the Secure Reporter. Customers want to you need to make it visible for an end customer. Otherwise, it's not visible and they don't know what you're doing. And it's like, okay, you're managing the network. What do you do actually for the money they are paying you? And that's where a Secure Reporter comes in. We send them monthly or quarterly or yearly, depends on what their need is. We send them the reports. And they can see actually what we're doing and how we help them to manage the networks.
So, often we talk about Nebula, from our perspective, but it's nice to see how companies actually, how it's impacting them, how it's helping them grow as a business, right?
Well, it's a corporation and we need each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and it's for us as a company, companies like yourself, right, we take a lot of feedback to try and help us improve that cycle. You've been involved in some of the feature changes or feature requests. I think that makes a good relationship. And it's not, we do it with all of our customers, right, to try and, that's always been at the core of the Nebula platform, right? So,
and that's one way why we're doing business with Sizell. And since we require that from all our suppliers, and we want to phone them, have direct contact, and not with a ticket and a form post. It needs to be direct and efficient and fast.
So, Mark, thank you very much for your time today and spending it, giving us a bit of insight into your company and how you use Sizell and Nebula. Quite inspirational for other people to understand.
Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. And it is the first time that we invite one of our customers into the podcast. Maybe it will be a follow-up.
Mark, you may be invited again.
Right, awesome. Well, I'm really glad for being here, and thank you for inviting me.
It's great. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Mark, again. Yeah, hopefully we see you back on our next podcast.
Thank you very much.